here's your host, John Chapman.
What is up, faithful? Welcome to another episode of the 49ers Rush Podcast. I'm your host, as always, John Chapman, and we've got something fun today. Obviously, we're coming off of a bye week. There's some roster moves I want to talk about, but this episode, after we go through all the roster and COVID breakdowns and all that stuff, it's about the rookies. It's about the rookie first-round picks and how they stack up. We have a little bit of hindsight now. So if we jump back to where the 49ers picked in the first round with our two rookies, obviously Javon Kinlaw and Brandon Aiyuk, we've got a big chunk to look back and see, did the 49ers make the right choice, or could they got a little bit more value? What does that look like, and how do these players stack up against their position? So I spent a lot of time the past 3 days going through charts and target share and all kinds of different stuff, and offense and defense. And so I'm going to spoil you guys a little bit today. Just want to let you know, because we're going to be, and again, hopefully you're watching this on YouTube. If not, that's okay. You're not missing out. The only thing you're missing out on is I put together game tape highlights for both of our rookies through the season so far. So through 10 games, what that brought about, and we're going to see some great stuff today. So we're going to be jumping into that. Now, love the countdown crew showing out in faith. I love it. You guys are showing up even during the bye week, which it's kind of a rough week. We got Thanksgiving tomorrow. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Pretty excited about what's going on there. But let's talk about the roster, because there's lots of changes. Obviously, coming off a bye week, you're going to be getting some guys back. Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson started their 21-day practice window. I expect both to be active on Sunday. The running back room has been devoid of our top-tier guys. There's no doubt about it. Literally, you have Jerick McKinnon. That's it right now. But you're getting Raheem Mostert. You're getting Jeff Wilson back. Tevin Coleman wasn't on IR, but he is limited in practice. Debo and Richard Sherman are back as well. Such a huge influx of talent on the offensive side, and Richard Sherman as well. Obviously, you can't diminish the role that he's going to play. Kyle Shanahan said he would step back into his top corner spot as soon as he is ready. So that'll put Verrett to the number 2 boundary corner position. That's going to be huge as well. Now, a little bit of good news as well. We finally got 2 players off of COVID. We had 9 on the COVID reserve list. I see you, MK Green. Do you have any thoughts on what rituals we should be doing on a daily basis to appease the COVID gods? Yeah, that's kind of where we're at across as a country. But whatever we're doing, we got 2 back. We got Eric Armstead, who was the first one to go on. And Haranis Grasu. So we have a backup center now, which is great news. And we have our starting defensive end. Now, we still have 7 players on it. We still have really 5 starters on there. I guess 4 starters left. Trent Williams, which is the biggest one. Javon Kinlaw, who we're going to be talking about today. DJ Jones and Brandon Aiyuk. So the 2 rookies we're talking about today, their game on Sunday is in question. Now, Kyle Shanahan said he expects to get some, but not all of these players back. He does think that we will receive some of these players back, but not all. So take that into account. Just understand the way this should have worked is you come out of the bye week healthier than you were when you went in, but it's just not the case for the 2020 49ers, as things just can't go our way. It's just really all that it is. Now, some good and / bad news. K'Waun Williams tested positive for performance enhancing drugs and received a 2-game suspension. However, due to testing procedure irregularities, it has been dismissed, and that no longer is on him. Now, K'Waun Williams has never had any positive test whatsoever, and he, maintains that 100% that was a false positive. He did nothing wrong. Regardless, it doesn't really matter to anybody on the faithful, but it does matter to his game checks. It would have hit him in the pocket, but his financial pockets, that is. But he's not going to be back in 2 weeks anyway. He's still probably 3 to 4 weeks out, so it doesn't really affect anything. But, you want to maintain his character, especially if he was innocent. So I'm glad the NFL came out and said, look, there were some issues with the test. We're going to put it off. From JD, he says, you always go live when I'm driving home from work, but this time I was able to pull it off to the side of the road and get my countdown crew in. One, be safe, brother. Be safe. Countdown crew, I love it, but not worth being in any danger whatsoever. The YouTube metrics tell me that this is the time to go live. So I apologize about that, but here's what's crazy about me. This is late for John Chapman because I usually get up this morning. For example, I got up at 3:30 this morning, so I'm winding down. It's like dinner time and my day's almost done, so I'm still pumping the coffee. I'm doing my best I can to like get up. I know they're like the prime time whatever. That's just not me. It's just not me. I'm an early riser. I'm already an old man on the inside, but I appreciate the support and the loyalty. That is amazing. So K'Wan Williams still going to be out for a while. Jamar Taylor has been playing excellent. I think that he is earning himself a spot on this roster for the 2021 season as kind of that backup nickel role. He's been great. Couple other signings, some on the practice squad, some on our 53, which we shouldn't call it a 53 because we don't have 53 players. Safety Chris Edwards was signed to the 53-man roster. He's a strong safety, 6'1", 218. He was with the 49ers this offseason when we were at the 90-man roster limit. Played a lot with the Canadian Football League. So, Chris Edwards, welcome to the faithful. 2 practice squad additions, one that we know a lot about. Wide receiver Sean Poindexter, come on back down, baby. He's been back and forth on this practice squad for 2 years now. Excited to have him back, give a little bit of depth. And safety Kai Nakua, a BYU undrafted free agent from 2017. He was a teammate and graduated the same time as linebacker number 1 Fred Warner. So you love to bring him familiar faces, the BYU pipeline. I know a lot of people are wanting that quarterback from BYU. The ties are all there, but so we'll have to see what happens there. But Kai has been with the Browns, Ravens, Panthers, Colts, jumped around the NFL, and he just brings a little bit of safety depth. With Jaquaski Tart, who's done for the year now, you had to get somebody else in there. Obviously, you have Jonathan Cyprien, but with Jared Maiden injured as well, you had to get somebody else in there. So that's what they did. And also, we finally get a little bit of news on one of our favorite rookies, the 7th round pick, wide receiver from Tennessee, Jauan Jennings. Where's he been? Well, turns out his hamstring was severe. He's still about 3 weeks out from even being able to practice, which is unfortunate. Kyle Shanahan finally kind of talked about him and said, hey, he would have had the opportunity to play, but he didn't get that opportunity because of his injury. The best ability, it's durability, ladies and gentlemen. That's just what it is. So I think we're going to have to wait just a little while before we get to Jauan Jennings. I don't think we're going to see him this year. Maybe if we lose a couple of games and we're out of the playoff hunt completely, which we're not at that point yet. But if we get to that point, I think we'll see some Jauan Jennings. Now, without further ado, let's go to the creme de la creme, the first round draft picks. Javon Kinlaw's first up. So if you're with us on YouTube, you can see the highlights are rolling. Man, and to say there's a lot of them. When you look at the stats, they don't do justice. Stats are not a defensive player's game. Linebackers, perhaps, but defensive line, especially interior, not so much. Yeah, you got the sack numbers, tackle for losses. We're going to go through all that. But where do they measure up versus their own position group that they were drafted against? Now, Move the Sticks podcast, and I've referenced this, 2 weeks ago did a redraft. So again, Kinlaw's coming off his back-to-back best game since they did their podcast. They had Javon Kinlaw ranked as the number 24 rookie out of everybody. So considering he was picked at the 14 spot, that's kind of interesting because, he fell a little bit, but let's break down these numbers because whenever you look at how everybody else did, let's just look at defensive tackles, okay? Let's start the conversation there. And then I think we'll be able to back out and kind of, let's zoom in real quick. Just pay attention to a very narrow focus of the draft, then pan out once all this is said and done. So I filtered all of the defensive tackles, interior defensive linemen, not edge players. We'll talk a little bit about them. by pressures. Okay, this is a pass-first league, and I don't think that this is Javon Kinlaw's strength, getting pass rush pressures. He's good at it, but that's not his strength. His strength is in the run game, 100%. So let's just go through these. The only player that was picked in front of Javon Kinlaw was Derek Brown. He went number 7 overall to the Carolina Panthers. Okay, he has 20 pressures, 0 sacks, and 17 solo run stops. So you get this kind of snapshot of pass rush productivity. Again, 20 pressures, 0 sacks, and then run stopping, 17 solo stops. Now let's go to Javon Kinlaw. Okay, how does he stack up? Kinlaw, 15 pressures. So not as many pressures as Derek Brown, but 1.5 sacks. Now, those 1.5 sacks came in this last game against the Saints, which you just saw if you're watching on YouTube. But he has 14 solo run stops. So he's not getting in the backfield as much, but he does have 1.5 sacks more, which is great. And again, you have to remember, he went 7 picks after. So you have Derek Brown going first, 7th overall, and then you had Kinlaw going 14th overall to the 49ers. Now, let's keep looking, okay? Because if you just look at who were the other, top interior players that were drafted, it gets really, really, really ugly. It gets really ugly. So again, just focusing on interior defensive linemen. Okay, you got Derek Brown at 7, Kinlaw at 14. The next draft pick isn't it's Ross Blacklock at 40. Then you had Raekwon Davis, number 56, Justin Matabuke, 71, Devon Hamilton, 73. And there's a whole bunch of guys that went from that 70 to 80 range. None of them have panned out. Okay, so again, let's just stay in order of the amount of pressures from the interior defensive line position. The third place guy, he was undrafted. So you had Derek Brown, 20 pressures. You had Kinlaw, 15. The next guy is Tershawn Wharton. He's got 13 pressures, 1 sack, and 11 solo stops. He's an undrafted free agent. He wasn't even drafted. Next up is Davon Hamilton, who went pick 73. He's got 11 pressures. Raekwon Davis, 6 pressures. Neville Gallimore from TCU, 5 pressures. A lot of people wanted these guys. Well, guess what? They did not produce. The next 2 guys are undrafted free agents with 5 and 4 pressures. That's Doug Costin and Malcolm Roach with 4 pressures out of Texas. He went to New Orleans. And then you get Ross Blacklock and Jordan Elliott. Ross Blacklock has 4 pressures. Jordan Elliott has 2. In my very last, this is a shot against myself as well. In my very last mock draft I did, I had the 49ers selecting a wide receiver in the first round at pick 14. I had them going CD Lamb. And then I had us trading out of the second round back, because remember, we had that pick that was towards the end, number 31. I had us trading back into the second round and getting Jordan Elliott. Now, Jordan Elliott eventually went 88th. He fell considerably, and he has not produced. I whiffed on that one. Now let's talk edge, because I think this might help. Everybody talks about how great Chase Young is, and rightfully so. He is great. He's probably going to win or be one of the people in contention for Defensive Rookie of the Year. I don't think Javon Kinlaw is going to be in that conversation. Not currently, unless some things change. And it hurts, too, that our team hasn't played well. But whatever. Chase Young has 18 pressures to Javon Kinlaw's 15. Chase Young is an edge. Chase Young has 3 sacks. Yeah. Kinlaw, 1.5. Solo stops, Chase Young, 17. But the difference is Chase Young was picked 2nd overall. We traded back from 13, picked up some extra draft capital, and we're still able to get a player that was almost as productive from the interior spot, which the 49ers needed big time after they chose to trade DeForest Buckner, who went on COVID list today, actually, about 30 minutes before I recorded this. So it's kind of a rough thing, and it's not like, oh, well, who else in the edge class has done well? Nobody. DJ Wanham, he's got 15 pressures, 3 sacks. He was picked number 117 overall. Uter Gross Matos has 12 pressures. Caleb Von Chasen has 10 pressures. Those guys, again, Caleb Von Chasen went pick 20. So The problem that I think we have is recency bias. You look at what happened with Nick Bosa, and it's easy to say, wow, look how great this guy is. Bosa spoiled the hell out of us. What he was able to do last year doesn't happen. I've said this before. It's going to be a long damn time before a rookie defensive lineman has that impact on the NFL. What he did last year was insanity. To go from rookie of the year, he won that, to the leader behind Aaron Donald for defensive player of the year. And it was justified. Unfortunately, the ACL and that stupid MetLife Field, now he's done. Now we got to wait next year. The good news is Bosa's injury happened early, so he should be just fine for the 2021 year. You look at what happened to Joe Burrow, who tore his ACL and MCL. I don't think he's going to be playing next year. I think he's going to miss all of 2021 year. Just to put injuries into perspective. Now, let's go back to Kinlaw, and I measured all of these different sacks, batted pressure, all these different things against defensive linemen in the draft. Okay, this is against all defensive tackles. So he's first in sacks among all defensive tackles. He's first in batted passes, second in pressures, second in solo run stops, second in pass rush productivity or percentage, third in quarterback hits, third in hurries, third in run stop percentage, fifth in tackles. So the question goes back to this. What do you do? Let's put the 49ers back on the clock. Let's look at what happened. Okay, so we're back at round 1. The 49ers are on the clock at 13. Tristan Wirfs, Javon Kinlaw, Jerry Jeudy, CeeDee Lamb. Those are the 4 players that are staring you in the face. They're all on the clock. Okay, you're sitting at 13. They're all there. The 49ers chose to trade back 1 spot. I'd do it again. Go. Tristan Wirfs has been great. He has not been Trent Williams great. Not even close. Okay, so you fall back to 14. Tristan Wirfs out of the equation. So now you got Javon Kinlaw, Jerry Jeudy. Could talk AJ Terrell outside corner, but I think we're okay currently for that. But he's in there. CeeDee Lamb, of course. Justin Jefferson, who I think is probably the best rookie wide receiver so far. Numbers would say so. And Cesar Ruiz. What do you do at that situation? The only person that I'm like, you know what, maybe, is Cesar Ruiz, the offensive guard / center, who I really, really like just because the interior O-line has been such a problem for the 49ers. But still, I say no. I like the way Daniel Brunskill has played at center. And again, now we're playing hindsight, right? So all the knowledge that we have of the season, of the 49ers and all the rookies, we're using that now. You could argue trade back, but I don't think Kinlaw falls. I would still take Kinlaw at pick 14 because of scarcity. I went through and told you about how bad the offensive line has been, or the defensive line was in this draft. There was nobody. So to get, almost in every single play interior defensive lineman that has, amazing upside in the run game and upside in the pass game, he's still developing. I love the Kinlaw pick. You could say, oh, Chase Claypool's got 10 touchdowns. That's insane. Doesn't make sense. Justin Jefferson, 800 plus yards receiving. I agree with you. He's great. Both those players are great. But again, there's 2 starters from the defensive line that came out of this draft, interior defensive line. That's it. You got one of those. There's probably 12 wide receivers that are going to be starters for the long haul. This was a great wide receiver class. So you take the position that doesn't exist after pick 14, and that's Javon Kinlaw. Now, I'm happy with that pick. I have no issues. Now, let's jump over to our other guy. Let's talk some Brandon Aiyuk, the Silver Surfer, the Iceman, smooth man himself. The highlights are on the screen now, and the very first play obviously is the hurdle play, which is just incredible. I'm showing it for both different film. You got the all 22 and you have the end zone view. It's so nice. You want to watch it twice. It's just look at him just glide and hopping everywhere. The speed never stops. Human highlight reel. I freaking love this kid. Okay, so let's talk about what he brings, because it's not normal. Okay, he was the 6th wide receiver drafted, and he has 100% at least lived up to that. I think he's done better. So let's just talk, and here's how we're going to sort the wide receiver. We use pressures for interior defensive linemen. Let's just go receiving yards. Why not? Who's had the most production? Okay, receiving yards. Number one out of all of the guys drafted at the wide receiver position is none other than Jordan Jefferson. Now, Jordan Jefferson has been great. What he's been able to do in that offense, it's been pretty damn good. And he went right in front of Brandon Aiyuk. We didn't have an opportunity. He went at pick 22, but he's at 848 yards, 4 touchdowns. CD Lamb's number 2, pick number 17. We had a shot early on. We chose not to, rightfully so. I love the decision to go D-line and then wait, because listen to all these guys. CD Lamb, 629 yards, 4 touchdowns. He was picked at number 17. After that is T. Higgins. Now, T. Higgins' numbers are about to drop off the charts. He had an amazing run with Joe Burrow, but now you don't have Joe Burrow. So take that for what you will. He had 629 yards, 4 touchdowns. Great job. Jerry Jeudy, he went pick 15. That was a lot of the people who wanted, 49ers wanted Jerry Jeudy, and they were upset that they didn't get Jeudy or they didn't get CeeDee Lamb. Well, Jerry Jeudy has 589 yards, 2 touchdowns. Chase Claypool's next up, 559 yards, but 10 touchdowns. He was picked 49th. Probably one of the steals of the draft. And you have to say this too, the Pittsburgh system under Ben Roethlisberger and Mike Tomlin, it is the most wide receiver friendly offense in the NFL. It doesn't matter who they put in there, they are successful. It's just the way it is. It's been that way for 20 plus years. But you don't want to take anything away from Claypool. The dude is a touchdown machine. Next up is Brandon Aiyuk. 35 receptions, 446 yards receiving, and 5 touchdowns. He was picked 25th. Now, a couple things. Of all of those top wide receivers that I just listed, every one of them has played 10 games, except for, you guessed it, Brandon Aiyuk. He missed his first game because of injury. Then he was the close contact on a false positive, which was total BS with Kendrick Bourne. And so that cost him his second game. Now he's back on the COVID list. Could cost him his third game, but he has been beyond productive. Listen to these ranks, okay, for Brandon Aiyuk. He was the 6th wide receiver selected. He has the most rushing yards of any of the wide receivers drafted. He has the best drop rate of any wide receiver drafted in the 2020 draft. One drop, he has a 2.8% drop percentage. Second most touchdowns. He has 3 receiving, 2 rush touchdowns. That brings him to 5. Chase Claypool has 10. He has the second highest grade on Pro Football Focus. The 3rd highest rookie across all positions. He's number 3. Pro Football Focus loves this guy because he doesn't have negative plays. That's kind of the positive with him. 4th on deep catches. He's caught all 3 of his deep passes that traveled 20 yards or more. 6 in reception, 6 in receiving yards. And again, the only one to not only play 8 games out of the top 7, everybody else has played 10. And on top of that, he has played with his 2nd and 3rd string quarterbacks. Everybody else has their starters. The only ones that have played with backup quarterbacks, CeeDee Lamb, who has not looked the same without Dak Prescott. Jerry Jeudy, again, a lot of bad games where he just kind of disappeared. Quarterback play is a problem there. Now he's got his quarterback back. And Aiyuk, who's played with CJ Beathard and Nick Mullins. T. Higgins will now join that conversation as well. However, a lot of the guys that were kind of draft crushes for a lot of different people, and rightfully so, I think it goes to show just how great this wide receiver draft class was. You have guys like Laviska Shenault, who went 42. He's got 323 yards, 1 touchdown. Michael Pittman's missed a lot of time. He went 34th, 300 yards, 1 touchdown. Henry Ruggs, he was picked 12th. The first wide receiver in this class drafted, he's not even starting for his own team. He got beat out by Nelson Aguilar. Nelson Aguilar. He was 12th overall. Terrible pick there. Denzel Mims been injured almost the entire season. He has 217 yards, no touchdowns. Jalen Reagor in and out of the lineup as well. I think he's going to turn it on. He's looked good. 211 yards, 1 touchdown. He's picked number 21 ahead of Brandon Aiyuk. So you look at these numbers, and what is the mindset? What do you do differently? Okay, so now let's go back to pick number 25. We were at 31. We traded up because this was the guy that Kyle Shanahan had to have. He's outperformed his draft stock. Again, Move the Sticks had him listed as the number 21 rookie. And again, that was 2 weeks ago. I really do believe, and I know it's weird to say, and you can say it's a homer or whatever, but the one thing that Kyle Shanahan does probably better, and maybe to a fault in certain cases, better than other teams. If you don't fit, you don't play. He wants people that fit. And you could talk about Chase Claypool. Well, guess what? Chase Claypool would fit the 49ers, Kyle Shanahan's offense perfectly if we didn't have Debo. He is the Debo role, the exact same Debo role. He's not a shifty wide receiver in and out of breaks like Brandon Aiyuk is. He's not a complementary piece. So you can make the argument, well, stay at 31, don't trade up, and take Chase Claypool. Every other team would like to do that as well. So I'm sitting here now, and I can confidently say this. Would I rather have Brandon Aiyuk on this 49ers team with this coaching staff with Debo, or would I rather have Chase Claypool? I'm telling you right now, Brandon Aiyuk is a better fit. It's a better complementary piece. Not trying to knock Chase Claypool. And if we did have Chase, that'd be amazing. Definitely not upset at all about how that would pan out. But the idea is this. You have to look at how all of these things fit together. And there's just so many positives. The future is trending upwards. Your goal going into every single NFL draft is to get 3 starters, 3 quality top-tier starters. So let's look at this draft. Did we accomplish that goal? Von Kinlaw, quality starter. Brandon Aiyuk, quality starter. Trent Williams, elite starter that we got for a 5th and a future 3rd-round pick. You can't, that is amazing. Now, you can get into the argument, yeah, but you traded away a starter into Forrest Buckner. Yeah, okay, that's cool. I totally get that argument. And you could go down that road and be justified 100%. Now, there are still some guys that are developing. We'll have to see what happens. Colton McKivitz, hasn't looked very good. Charlie Warner, spot duty, still not really showing out. Even with Kittle out, still not showing out. That's a problem. Juwan Jennings, who we mentioned. But you're talking 5th, 6th, 7th rounders. Those guys usually don't pan out. The 49ers have been lucky. Dre Greenlaw, DJ Jones, George Kittle. You've been lucky with those. Those are home runs. You can't get used to hitting with 5th round draft picks that often. But if you could, this might be the year for it, because guess what? Heading into 2021, the 49ers have 2 currently 5th round picks. So a lot of stuff there. I'm excited about that. Let's take a real quick minute just to thank our sponsors. Then I've got some Thanksgiving Day bets. What's up? What's up? Here we go. Unless you've been living under a rock, you know the NFL and the NBA, they're back. They're in full swing, which can only mean one thing. It's a winning season at MyBookie. I don't know about you guys, but for me, a game is 10 times more exciting whenever I'm putting my money on it. And if you've been betting with us, we've been doing very, very well so far this year. So stick with us. Bet on it. Use all the knowledge that we have, and let's be successful. And here's the deal. Right now, they have a $100,000. You heard me. $100,000 super contest for only $10 entry. $10. You can win all that money. They're giving away $5,000 in cash prizes every 4 weeks. You would be crazy not to jump in there with all your knowledge. $10 to win thousands. Sign me up. You too can make up and sign up at MyBookie. And here's the deal. Use promo code 49ers, 49ERS, to claim your 100% deposit match all the way up to $1,000. That means you put in $100, they're going to give you $100. Rollovers will be included in that, and if you have questions, please call their customer service. They'll help you with that. But the NFL, NBA, MLB, they've got it all on tap. It's never too late to get started, and if you've wanted to jump in with us, now's the best time. Head to mybookie.ag, promo code 49ers, and they're going to double your initial deposit. Thanks for the support, MyBookie. All right, so the NFL threw a little bit of a curveball, and of course, much to the chagrin of 49ers fans. If you jump back just 3 short weeks, 49ers have the most players on IR almost in NFL history. On top of that, the night before the game, we have a false positive. Kendrick Bourne. We lost 4 starters. 4 starters on the most injury-riddled team in the NFL. And guess what? Go get them, boys. We put a JV team out there, and we got steamrolled. It actually played fairly well, but because of left tackle, because of no wide receivers, because it was just bad, we end up losing that game. Well, anyway, the Ravens are in not even close to the same situation. They had 5 players test positive, but their injury situation is nothing like ours. They choose to postpone the game. Gosh, I got mad. Man, it pissed me off big time. But anyway, having said that, the Ravens and Steelers game has been postponed. The NFL continues. There are certain quarterbacks that if you have a quarterback, they will do whatever it takes, from, roughing the passing penalties to defensive holding calls on third down. If you don't have one of those QBs, you don't get those calls. And that's where the 49ers have been for a very long time. But I digress. The Ravens-Steelers game is out. I did have a bet special on that, but I'll throw it out. I still am betting the Texans. I'm taking the Texans money line. Now, the Texans are negative 3.5 points versus the Lions. Lions, they are out a lot of people as well. Remember, they just got goose-egged. I think it was 20-0 they just lost. This week, they have no Galladay, they have no Amendola, and they have no Jeffrey Okudah. You want to go back and talk redraft? Guess what? Jeffrey Okudah isn't going in the top 20. That dude has fallen. But I digress. Houston Texans are finally playing some decent football, and I just think the Lions, they are so close to firing their head coach. I think Adam Gase and, goodness, his name's, I see his chubby, stupid face, the head coach for the Lions. I don't know why it's missing me, but he's awful. I'm so glad I forgot his name because he sucks. Anyway, I am taking the Texans money line. I don't want to give away 3.5 points on a short week. Crazy stuff can happen. So I am going to take the money line. I bet 15 on this one. I feel pretty confident on this. Now, it's not a huge payout. You bet 15 to win 23 with everything included. But I feel pretty good about this one. Matt Patricia, that's his ugly name. Stupid fat face. And if I call you fat face, that's saying a lot, especially if you're watching YouTube, because you can see hashtag fat face. Anyway, that's my bet special. I did have something for the Ravens, but they pushed that one back to Sunday. So I'll get to that game and some Sunday bets because we do have Thanksgiving tomorrow. There's 2 football games now. That's going to be a lot of fun. And then we'll be back. I'm not going to do a Thursday episode, obviously, with football games and all that kind of stuff. I'll do something Friday or Saturday. We'll go through all that. I do want to answer just a couple questions and comments that I've seen in the chat. So here we go. Let's just talk through just a couple of things because I love it. Khalil, non-football question. What's your favorite Thanksgiving side dish? If I had to pick one, again, hashtag fat face, it is pecan pie or pumpkin pie. However, I do want to let you guys know and bring on the hate. This is like the worst food take in the world, but I'm going to stay with it. Thanksgiving is by far the greatest made-up holiday. It doesn't exist. It's not real. It never happened. However, this is the history side of me, but I will say this. Whenever I do make things, I love Thanksgiving. I love the food. It's the best food in the world. I want all the food to touch. So, I want the turkey, the stuffing, the gravy, the mashed potatoes, the corn, all of it. I want it all. I want it all touching because it just goes so well together. I know I'm a weirdo. That's okay. Hopefully some of you guys still loves me. Ryan, I love this. If Sherman converts to safety, does he pick up another year with the 49ers? Maybe. Kyle Shanahan was asked today by Grant Cohn in the press conference today with Kyle Shanahan this exact question. What does it look like for Sherman to convert to safety? Kyle Shanahan gave the wonderful political answer. Sherman can do anything he puts his mind to, and I agree. Goodness, could you imagine what this defense would look like if you had Tarvarius Moore deep safety, Richard Sherman strong safety, then you had K'Wan Williams at nickel, Jason Verrett outside, and Emmanuel Mosley or somebody else at the opposite corner. Holy cow. The playmaking and the turnover, my whole quest for safety, I want playmakers. That's what I want. I want turnovers. I want tipped balls, which lead to turnovers. That's what I want. We haven't had that for 3 years. So you talk about putting Sherman with his ball skills in the box, his physicality matches up just fine. He could do it. But again, strong safety. Put him at strong safety. Put Moore at free safety. Now you're cooking. I would love that. Now the problem is going to be just cost. Richard Sherman's not going to come cheap next year. Richard Sherman's never going to be cheap. He knows his value, and he can walk away. He doesn't have to play football for a financial future. He's already secured that. The bag has been secured by Uncle Sherm. I would love to keep him. And especially with our, championship windows open, not for the 2020 season, obviously, but the 49ers will be one of the top 3 or 4 favored teams next year, depending on the quarterback play. Even if you bring back Jimmy Garoppolo, we're still in that category. I love this. Camelot's red and gold. Awesome tag, by the way. He said the biggest difference between the wide receivers you talked about is quarterback play. You get Aiyuk on some of those other teams that are passing teams, he puts up elite numbers, 100%. Aiyuk is on a running team. You look at the numbers, okay? Jefferson, the Vikings, they run a lot, obviously with Dalvin Cook. I think he's second or leading the NFL in rushing, but their ratio isn't near as high as ours. CeeDee Lamb, all they do is throw. T. Higgins, Cincinnati, all they do is throw. Broncos are just kind of a mess. And then you have the Steelers, all they do is throw. So I think you're right. I think you're onto there something. Niner Joe Empire, is it too early to get my Wilson jersey? I don't think so. And here's why I have to believe that. Next year, the 49ers, there's going to be some shaking up in the running back room. Mostert's coming back guaranteed, no matter what. Tevin Coleman, I think he's gone. Jerick McKinnon, I think he's gone. There is a possibility that the running back room next year, if I was to design it, just because how cheap these deals are going to be, Raheem Mostert 1, Jeff Wilson 2, JaMychal Hasty 3. That is a great running back room. So that Jeff Wilson jersey, hey, guess what? If you do get it, 1, that's awesome. Worst case scenario is Wilson's playing for the Dolphins next year because that's where 49ers running backs go to die. That's kind of where we are. Mike, he says, are we going to win this week? I got to give you the ellipsis, the ... treatment, because I don't know. If we had to play right now with all the players we have on COVID, I don't think the 49ers are going to win. They could pull off something, but you're still missing 2 starting defensive linemen and probably the best left tackle in football. And we saw what Justin School can do in backup duty. It's not good. Add to that, backup quarterback, all the other injuries, whatever else. Trent Williams is the number 1 guy I'm watching. If Trent Williams is playing, I think the 49ers got a shot. If he's out, hell no. So I'm not saying we're going to win, Mike. I'm just saying I'm not messing with it until we figure out what guys we get back from COVID. Hey, what number in the draft would we be if we lose all games? Would we get to that number? That's a good question. Let's look at it. So we're at 4 now. Let me open up I should have had this open, so my apologies here. The 49ers are currently picking 14th with a 4-6 record. If you lost out, so minimum, right, you'd be 4-12. I don't think that there is any way you could get higher than pick 5. I just don't see that happening because you have the Jets who are 0-10. They might be able to win 1 or 2 games. No way they go more than that. Jacksonville 1-9. No way that team's winning 3. They are a bad football team. They just put Josh Allen on IR. He's going to be out probably the rest of the year. Again, going back to redraft status, right? Nick Bosa, now Josh Allen's on there. Cincinnati's 2-7-1. They have that tie. Now they lost their quarterback. They're not winning any more games. So you've got a plethora, I think 6 teams with 3 wins, and there's a lot of bad ones in there. Washington, Dallas, the Giants, Atlanta. So I don't know. I think if the 49ers went 4-12, I think you'd be picking number 5 overall. I think that's where you'd be this year. But there's no way in hell that's happening. The 49ers are not losing out. The 49ers are going to win at least 2 more games. I think 3 is more likely. So hopefully that answers your question there, Anthony. I love Jordan. He says, damn, no Warner highlights? LOL. That is incredible. Comment of the day, my friend, goes to you. But hopefully you guys have enjoyed all the highlights. That's been fun. If you've missed it, maybe I'll load them independently. That sounds like something I would do, just so you can watch those. I'll put a little bit of drumline. I like the college drumline. I'll put some of that behind it. We'll see what we got there. So we'll get to some of that. But that's going to do it for our episode today. I want to say thank you, faithful. It's Thanksgiving tomorrow. Man, enjoy that freaking day. And for those of you who perhaps don't have people to share with, just know you are loved. Whether you want to reach out on social media, obviously my Twitter is always open at JL_Chapman. Love to give you a shout out and just say what's up. Holidays are not always good for everybody. I speak from personal experience. I didn't have the best childhood growing up, not a sob story at all, but I hate the freaking holidays. But I married a Christmas elf. Holidays are her defining moment, and it's rough because we have this tension where, you know, she wants to sing Christmas carols and make movies and all that kind of stuff, and I'm just like, man, just let me drink whiskey. But anyway, I try my hardest to overcome this, and you know, especially my two boys, who I think they were in almost 10 foster homes before they moved in with us and we adopted them. They obviously have some rough ties sometimes to holidays as well. All that to say this: if you are one of those amazing people that love holidays and you have a wonderful family to share it with, awesome. I ask a favor of you. Reach out to the assholes of your family, because we need to hear from nice people. It can be as simple as a text, because again, holidays aren't happy, sunshine, hallmark for everybody. It's a rough time for a lot of people out there. So please take the time to reach out to those in your extended family that perhaps you don't talk to anymore just because they're rude or whatever else. Even politics, throw that stuff aside right now. People need to hear from loved ones. You guys are the best. So thankful for this podcast. I'm thankful for you guys and all the support. And we will be back after Thursday. Eat as much food as possible. And as always, you know what I want to say. Stay strong, faithful.